Welcome back to Easy English Flow with Mark and Sarah. Before we start, a quick reminder. If you want to speak better English, hit that subscribe button. Because when you subscribe, you aren't just supporting the channel, you're making a promise to yourself to get a little better every single day.
That really is the best kind of promise, isn't it? It's that small, consistent effort. That's what really pays off in the long run.
It really, really does. And today, we are tackling a monster. And I don't use that word lightly. This is something that I think every single language learner, no matter what their level is, has faced.
Oh, absolutely. Every single one.
It's that moment of just, pure frustration where you know the answer, you can feel it in your head, it's right there, but when you try to get it out of your mouth, you hit a wall.
It's the absolute worst feeling. It's not a knowledge problem. You know the stuff.
Yeah.
It's a machinery problem. The machinery in your head isn't working fast enough.
That's a great way to put it.
I always think of it like, having a Ferrari engine inside a rusty old tractor. You can rev the engine as much as you want, but the wheels just won't turn.
That is a perfect image for it. We're talking about that struggle. Knowing the answer, feeling it right on the tip of your tongue, but then getting completely stuck when you try to say it. It's that tip of the tongue feeling, but like on steroids.
Exactly.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a very specific, very actionable solution. The title of our discussion today is How to Stop Translating in Your Head and Start Thinking in English.
Thinking in English. It's a phrase you hear all the time in the language learning world. It's held up as this holy grail.
Right.
Like, if you could just cross that one line, suddenly the clouds part, the sun shines, and English just flows out of you effortlessly.
And that right there is our mission for this deep dive. We want to help you escape that slow, exhausting, just grinding process of mental translation. We want to help you get to a state that the source material we're looking at calls automaticity.
Automaticity. Sounds like a big technical word, but the idea is actually very, very human. It's about flow. It's about removing the friction between your thought and your voice.
And we've got a great stack of sources today. We're pulling mainly from a really comprehensive guide on fluency techniques, and it specifically targets this translation trap.
Yeah, the correct.
We're going to break down exactly what's going wrong in your brain, the mechanics of the failure, and then, this is the important part, we're going to give you 5 specific graded techniques to actually fix it.
And I think it's important to do a quick tone check here before we really get into the weeds. We know this topic can sound a little heavy. I mean, we're touching on things like neurology and habit formation.
For sure.
But we promise we're going to keep this light. We want this to be super accessible.
Right. If you're an A2 or a B1 learner, you need to stick around. You are exactly who this is for. We're not going to throw a bunch of complex, linguistic jargon at you.
No textbooks allowed here.
No, this is easy English flow. It's just the good stuff. Our goal is for you to walk away from this deep dive with tools you can use, like 5 minutes from now.
Precisely. We want to unpack the why and the how without making it feel like you're sitting in a lecture hall.
Okay, so let's start with the problem itself. I mentioned the translation trap. It sounds kind of ominous, doesn't it?
Sounds like a horror movie.
It does. So what is actually happening in a learner's brain during a conversation when they fall into this trap? Because it feels instant, but the sources say it's actually a multi-step failure.
It feels instant because our brains are just so fast. But what's really happening is a traffic jam, a huge pileup on the highway in your head. Let's just slow down time for a second.
All right.
Imagine you're in a conversation. Someone asks you a really simple question. Let's say, what did you do yesterday?
Okay, simple question. Common. My brain hears it, I understand it.
Right. So step 1, you hear the question. Your ears work fine.
Yeah.
You understand the English input. Step 2 is where all the trouble begins. Your brain instantly comes up with the answer.
But
it does it in your first language, your L1.
so if I'm from Brazil, my internal monologue just shouts the answer in Portuguese. If I'm from Mexico, it's in Spanish.
Exactly. You have the concept of the answer. You have the memory of going to the park yesterday.
Right.
But you have it in the wrong currency. It's not in English yet.
Wrong currency, I like that. So now I have to be a currency exchanger.
You do. And that's step 3, the translation. You take that sentence from your native language. Let's use the example, "Eu fui ao parque," and you start the manual labor of translating it word for word into English.
I went to the
Yeah.
dot part.
It's exhausting. You're basically acting as a UN interpreter for your own thoughts. But, UN interpreters get paid a lot of money because they're incredibly fast. Most of us are not that fast.
Not at all, and we're stressed.
Which brings us right to step 4, the grammar check. This is the audit phase. This is where your brain starts to panic.
Oh, I know this feeling.
It asks all these questions, right? Hey, is it go or is it went? Is it to the park or just a park? Is my pronunciation of park going to be okay? You're auditing yourself before you even open your mouth.
I think we've all been there. It's that hesitation where your eyes kind of glaze over because you're literally looking at a grammar chart in your mind.
Yes.
You're not looking at the person you're talking to. You're looking at a verb table inside your own head.
And then finally, step 5. You actually speak. You say the sentence. But by the time you get through all 4 of those other steps and finally get to step 5, the moment is gone. The rhythm of the conversation is totally broken.
And that right there, that is the definition of the translation trap. It's this clunky, multi-step factory line happening in your head while the other person is just standing there waiting.
Nodding and smiling.
Right. And the sources are clear that this isn't just about being a little slow. There are 3 major downsides to operating this way. It's not just an inconvenience.
No, it's a communication killer. The first downside, as you already touched on, is speed.
Speed is the killer of natural conversation. I mean, real conversations are fast, they're dynamic, people interrupt each other, they laugh, they overlap.
Exactly. And if you're stuck back in step 3, still translating your first sentence, the person you're talking to hasn't paused their life for you.
Nope.
They're already on their 3rd sentence. They've moved the topic forward. They're talking about something else now.
It's like watching a movie where the audio is out of sync with the video. You are constantly playing catch-up. You're answering a question they asked 10 seconds ago, but they've already moved on.
And that just creates this massive anxiety loop, doesn't it? You stop listening to what they're saying now because you're too busy translating what they said then.
And then you're lost.
And eventually, you just lose the thread entirely. So you just do the nod and smile.
The classic nod and smile strategy. It's a survival tactic, but it's not great for actual connection. In fact, it creates distance because the other person can tell you're not really there with them. Now, the second downside is one that I think creates some of the most amusing but also embarrassing mistakes. The sources call this unnatural phrasing.
This is a huge one. This happens because languages are not math equations. You can't just swap one word for another, like swapping X for Y, and expect the meaning to hold up.
Right, it's not algebra.
It's not. Languages don't match one-to-one. They have different internal logic. They have different souls almost.
The sources give a classic example here that I think everyone listening will recognize. It's the age difference. This is the rookie mistake almost everyone makes at some point.
Oh, it really is. In so many languages, especially Romance languages like Spanish or Portuguese, the concept of age is a possession. You have years. The verb is tener or ter.
So you would say, eu tenho 20 años.
Right. Which, if you translate it word for word, means I have 20 years.
Like I have $20 in my pocket. It's something I own.
Now, if you're stuck deep in the translation trap, you're not thinking about the concept of age in English. You're just translating the words. So you say, I have 20 years.
And to a native English speaker, it just sounds bizarre.
It's so weird.
It sounds like you possess 20 individual calendar years that you keep in a box somewhere. Yeah, I have 20 years in my closet.
Exactly. It makes sense grammatically if you look at the words one by one, but it makes 0 sense conceptually in English, because in English the structure is completely different. We use the verb to be.
We say, I am 20 years old.
You are your age. It's a state of being. It's part of your identity, not a possession you carry around.
That's such a fundamental shift in how you view reality when you think about it. Am I being my age or do I have my age? If you're stuck in that trap, you will naturally make that mistake because your brain is following the map of your native language, not the map of English.
And you just can't map a new territory with an old map.
Mm.
You'll get lost every single time. You end up saying things that are direct translations like, I have hunger instead of I am hungry.
Or make a party instead of throw a party.
Yes. These little things, they're like small flags that mark you as a translator, not a thinker in the language.
And that leads us to the third downside, which honestly might be the most painful one, the mental block.
The dreaded blank stare. The brain freeze.
It's just pure brain exhaustion. The sources make a really interesting point here about energy. Your brain is a muscle, and it burns glucose. It burns energy, and if it has to run a marathon just to say hello, it is going to get tired very, very fast.
That's right. The stress of the translation, the grammar check, rushing to catch up, auditing your own pronunciation, it causes a cognitive overload. Your brain just, It shuts down. You go blank.
It's like a computer crashing because you open too many programs at once. You get the spinning wheel of death in your head.
That is a perfect analogy. The translation trap uses up all your RAM, all your processing power,
Yeah.
so there's nothing left for the actual function you're trying to perform, which is communicating.
Right.
You end up spending, what, 90% of your energy on the internal mechanics and only 10% on the actual connection with the other person.
And real communication is all about connection. It's about looking someone in the eye and sharing an idea. If you're busy doing math in your head, you can't connect.
You just can't. So, okay, I think we have a really clear picture of the enemy here. It's slow, it creates unnatural sentences like, I have 20 years, and it completely burns out our brains until we just crash.
So what's the goal? What's the solution? The sources talk about this concept of automaticity. Let's define that really clearly.
Automaticity is a beautiful word. In this context, it basically means the ability to connect an object or a feeling or an idea directly to the English word, without the middleman.
The middleman being your native language.
Right. We need to fire the middleman. He's charging way too much and he is way too slow. We want a direct line of communication.
Let's visualize this. The sources describe two different paths. They call them the current path and the goal path.
Okay, so imagine you see a dog walking down the street.
Yeah.
In the current path, the translation trap path, you see the animal. Your brain identifies it as cachorro or perro or whatever it is in your L1. Then you have to do the work to translate that word to dog. And then finally, you might say the word dog. That's a triangle. It's a detour.
It's a long way around. It's taking the scenic route when you're already late for a meeting.
Exactly. The goal path, which is automaticity, is a straight line. You see the animal and your brain instantly fires the neuron for dog. No Portuguese, no Spanish, just object English word.
That sounds amazing. It sounds so efficient. But I have to be honest, it also sounds intimidating. I mean, how do I just delete my native language from my brain? That pathway is so deep, it's been there since I was a baby, is how I understand the world.
See, that's the key. You don't delete it. That's a really common misconception. You aren't trying to erase your native language. That's impossible, and you wouldn't want to.
Okay.
You're just building a new highway alongside the old one. At first, it's a small dirt road, but with practice, it becomes a superhighway.
I like that.
And I really want to reassure everyone listening, this does not happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning and magically find yourself thinking in English. It's a skill, and it's built with small, deliberate steps.
And that is exactly what we're going to do next. We have 5 techniques from the source material, and they are graded. They go from beginner to advanced to help you build that new highway.
Let's lay some pavement.
Let's do it. We're going to start simple. Technique number 1. This is for beginners, or really for anyone who just feels overwhelmed and wants to start fresh. It's called naming your surroundings. Some people call it the labeling game.
This is the foundation. It's the concrete slab. If you can't do this, you can't do the more complex stuff. And the key here is to keep it simple. Single words. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about sentences. Just nouns.
The concept is so simple, it almost feels like cheating. You just look around the room you're in right now, and you refuse to use your native word for what you see.
That's it. So if you're sitting at a desk, you look at the machine in front of you. You don't think computer door. You force your brain. You actively force it to think computer.
You look at the glass on the table. Don't think agua. Think water. You see a book, you think book.
It sounds almost too simple to work, doesn't it? Like, is this really learning English?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But that's the whole point. We want to lower the barrier to entry. If we try to think complex thoughts in English right away, like, I wonder what the geopolitical implications of this recent event are, we will fail.
Instantly.
We will instantly revert to translation because we just don't have the English vocabulary for that complex thought yet. But anyone, absolutely anyone, can look at a window and think window. It builds the fundamental habit of direct association.
The sources mention a very specific, very hands-on way to do this. They call it the sticky note method.
I love this method. I recommend it to everyone. It's actionable, it's physical, it's a little bit silly, and it works like a charm. You just take a pack of Post-its or any kind of sticky note, and you literally label your house.
So you just write the English word on the paper and stick it to the object.
Yes. Go to your bathroom, write mirror on a sticky note and put it right on the glass. Go to the kitchen, write fridge, and stick it on the refrigerator door. Table, chair, lamp, door.
I can just imagine my house completely covered in yellow paper. My family, my guests, they're all going to think I've completely lost my mind. Or that I'm running some kind of weird modern art experiment.
Laughs, maybe. But just tell them you're building a new brain.
Yeah.
And honestly, who cares what they think? If it works, it works.
But seriously, why does this physical act actually help? Is it just about reminding yourself of the vocabulary? Because, I mean, presumably, I already know the word for table.
It's about passive learning and constant visual association. Think about it. How many times a day do you walk past your fridge?
Oh, man. Depends on how stressful the day is. On a bad day, maybe 50. I open that fridge a lot, looking for answers.
Exactly. Every single one of those 50 times, your eyes catch that word, fridge. You're not actively studying. You haven't opened a textbook. But your brain is constantly seeing the object, the refrigerator, and the English word for it, fridge, at the same exact time. You are physically wiring that connection. Object equals English word.
So you're bypassing the translation step without even trying. You're not seeing the fridge, thinking geladera, and then translating it. You're seeing the fridge and the word fridge simultaneously. It's forcing the connection to become automatic.
Precisely. You are surrounding yourself with the language in a physical way. It's a constant, low-stress reminder to think in English. It interrupts the default pattern of your brain wanting to use your native language. When you see mirror written on the mirror, your brain just doesn't have time to think espelho. The English word is right there, staring you in the face.
I love that. It turns your own home into a learning environment. It's like creating your own little immersion program without having to move to London or New York.
You're creating a little London right there in your apartment.
Little London. I like that. Okay, so we've got sticky notes everywhere. My house is yellow. We're naming objects, computer, phone, mic, but we can't speak in just single words forever. We're not cavemen.
Laughs me.
Oh my
Hungry.
fridge.
No, that is definitely not the end goal. We need to level up. We need to start connecting these little islands of words into something more meaningful.
So that brings us to technique number 2, descriptive thinking. This is where we make the jump from single words to simple sentences.
It's the next logical step. Once you can label the objects around you without thinking, you need to start describing them. You need to give them some context.
The sources suggest a simple formula here. It's not complex grammar, it's just subject plus verb. Or maybe, if you're feeling adventurous, subject plus verb plus adjective.
Keep it simple. That has to be the mantra. Don't try to write poetry. Just describe the basic reality of what you see. We English learners, we tend to overcomplicate things because our thoughts in our native language are complex.
Right.
We want to express that same complexity in English, but we don't have the tools yet. So we fail. We have to simplify the thought itself.
Okay, let's walk through some examples of that. Let's say I'm holding a cup of coffee. Level 1, the sticky note level, was just thinking the word coffee. What's level 2?
Level 2 is thinking a full but simple sentence. The coffee is hot.
Okay. Subject. The coffee verb is adjective, hot. I can do that.
Right. Or let's say you're waiting at the bus stop and the bus isn't there yet. You don't just think bus, you think the bus is late.
Or I'm looking out the window, it is raining.
Exactly. The sky is blue, my car is red, this food is good. Super simple observations.
So why is this specific step so important? I mean, why not just jump straight from words to trying to have a full conversation?
Because this forces you to use English grammar structures naturally, but in a very safe, bite-sized way. When you force your brain to create a full sentence, even a tiny one like the coffee is hot, you're training it to order the words correctly in English.
Right. You're practicing that subject-verb-object order, which is so rigid in English.
And you're actively stopping the word-for-word translation habit. You have to, because you're focusing on the meaning of the sentence as a whole unit. The coffee is hot is a complete thought. You're processing the reality of the hot coffee directly into an English sentence structure. You're not translating, "O café está caliente." You're just observing the heat and describing it in English.
And the real beauty of this, as I understand it from the sources, is that this is all internal.
Yes, this is a silent exercise. You do not have to speak this out loud. If you're on a crowded bus, you probably shouldn't shout the bus is late.
Laughs. Yeah, people will look at you strangely. The man next to me is angry. The police are coming.
Exactly. This is your internal monologue. It's a silent narration. You are reclaiming your inner voice and you're painting it English. You're changing the operating system of your thoughts one simple sentence at a time.
And because it's silent, there's no pressure. No one knows if you mess up the grammar inside your own head. It's a totally safe space to practice.
That's the key. Zero risk.
Okay, I love that. I like that image of painting your inner voice. So we're naming things with sticky notes. We're making simple descriptive sentences in our heads. Now let's get a little more active. Technique number 3 is called becoming the narrator, or as I like to call it, the vlogger mindset.
The vlogger mindset is a great way to think about it. Imagine you are a YouTuber filming your day, or you're a character in a movie with a voiceover.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my kitchen. That kind of thing.
Exactly. The task here is to describe exactly what you are doing as you are doing it.
Okay, so this is about action. We're moving from describing static objects, the coffee is hot, to describing dynamic movement,
Yes. And grammatically, this is where we really get to practice the present continuous tense.
the on words. Walking, talking, eating, drinking.
I am doing something. This is so powerful because it connects your physical body movements directly to English verbs. It creates a kinesthetic link. You are learning with your body, not just with your eyes and your brain.
Okay, let's role play this a bit to show how it would work. Let's do a morning routine. I'm just waking up. What does my internal narrator say?
Okay, so your alarm goes off. You open your eyes. You think to yourself, I am waking up. You get out of bed. I am standing up. You walk towards the door. I am walking to the kitchen.
Now I am opening the fridge.
I am taking out the milk.
I am pouring the coffee. It feels very immediate.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because you are doing it right now.
Mhm.
It forces you into the present moment. Let's try an evening routine. You just got home from work.
Okay. I am tired. I am taking off my shoes.
I am sitting on the sofa. I am turning on the TV.
What's so fascinating about this is that there is literally zero time to translate.
That is the secret sauce. That's why this technique is so effective at destroying the translation trap. Because the action is happening now, in real time. Your brain has to focus on the immediate description.
Right.
If you try to stop and translate "Eu estou tirando meus sapatos" word for word, by the time you're done, you've already taken them off and you're sitting on the sofa. The moment's gone.
The action itself forces the pace. You have to keep up with your own life, but in English.
Yes. It creates a direct, powerful link between the physical sensation, the feeling of taking off a shoe, and the English phrase, taking off my shoes. You are completely bypassing your native language because the physical reality takes its place as the trigger.
Okay, but what happens if I hit a verb? I don't know. Let's say I'm whisking eggs for an omelet.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what the word whisk is.
That's a great question. And it's going to happen all the time.
Yeah.
You have two choices. Choice one is to simplify. Just use a word you do know.
Yeah.
I am cooking eggs. Or I am mixing the eggs.
Okay, that's the safe option.
It is. But choice two is the learning option.
Yeah.
You use it as a learning moment. You actually stop what you're doing, you grab your phone, you look up the word, and then you say it while you continue the action. Ah, I am whisking.
I see.
That physical association will lock that new word into your memory way better than just seeing it on a flashcard ever could.
I love that. It grounds the language in your body, not just in your head. It's almost like a form of mindfulness, isn't it? You have to be very present and aware of your actions to do this.
It absolutely is. It can actually slow down your life in a really nice way because you start paying attention to every small action you take throughout the day.
Now, moving on to technique number 4. This one, well, the sources themselves admit it might sound a little crazy to some people.
It does sound a little crazy, but honestly, it is the secret weapon of almost every successful polyglot and advanced language learner I know.
We're talking about imaginary conversations, or more simply, self-talk.
Talking to yourself, out loud.
I mean, I do this all the time anyway in my native language, so maybe I'm just crazy to begin with. But how does this help with English specifically?
It bridges the critical gap between thinking and speaking. Up until now, all the techniques have been silent, internal work. But eventually you have to move your mouth. You have to train the muscles of your face to actually produce English sounds.
But you're doing it without the pressure of a real person staring at you, waiting for you to finish.
Exactly. It's a simulation, a safe simulation. The sources suggest a few fun scenarios to try. One of them is the shower argument.
Oh, this is classic. Everyone has won an argument in the shower that they lost in real life. It's the perfect place for a redo. Oh, I should have said this.
Laughs, right? But now do it in English. Have a full-blown debate with an imaginary person while you're washing your hair. No, I don't agree with you because... Or I think the best course of action is this.
That's pretty intense, but it forces you to use persuasive language, connectors, reasons.
It is. Or another one is the commute conversation. This is great for planning. While you're driving or walking to work, talk through your weekend plans out loud.
Okay, so on Saturday, I think I will go to the park. After that, I will meet Sarah for lunch.
And then maybe we will go to the movies. You're practicing the future tense. You're connecting ideas in a sequence. You're not just labeling or describing a single moment. You're constructing a whole narrative.
Another really practical one they mentioned is meeting prep.
Oh, this is so useful. If you have to speak English at work, practice your introduction or your main points in the car on the way there. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark. Today, I would like to talk about the project status.
So why is this crazy habit so effective? What's the deep reason it works beyond just the muscle memory of speaking?
It's all about creating a safe space.
Define that for us in this context. What does a safe space mean here?
When you are talking to yourself, there is zero judgment. Absolutely zero. If you make a grammar mistake, nobody hears it.
Mhm.
You don't feel embarrassed. You don't feel that mental block panic that we talked about earlier. Your stress levels, your cortisol levels, they stay low.
That is huge because fear is what usually shuts us down. We are so afraid of looking stupid in front of other people that our brains just freeze up.
Exactly. And here's the best part. If you're talking to yourself and you forget a word, let's say you're in the shower having that argument, and you forget the word for negotiate. You can just stop. You pause the imaginary conversation. You can grab your phone, look up the word, and then jump right back into the argument.
You absolutely cannot do that in a real conversation. Right? Excuse me, could you hold that thought for a moment? I need to consult my dictionary. It would just kill the vibe completely.
It would. In real life, you panic. But in self-talk, you learn. It builds your confidence so that when you do have that conversation for real, you've already practiced it. You've already run the simulation multiple times.
It's like a flight simulator for language. You can crash the plane a few times safely in the simulator so that you don't crash it when you have real passengers on board.
That is the perfect analogy. You work out all the kinks in private. You get the bad, clunky English out of your system so that the good, smooth English can come out later when it counts.
All right, this is great. So we've named our surroundings with sticky notes. We've described them with simple sentences. We've narrated our lives like a vlogger. And we've argued with ourselves in the shower. We've now arrived at technique number 5. This is the ultimate step. The sources say this is for the brave.
This is the real game changer. This is where you cut the safety rope and truly immerse yourself. We're talking about breaking the dictionary habit.
The sources are very, very firm on this point. You have to ditch your bilingual dictionary, throw away the Portuguese English, the Spanish English, the French English dictionary app on your phone.
And you must switch to a monolingual dictionary, an English-to-English dictionary, preferably one designed for learners.
Okay, that sounds really difficult. If I don't know a word, how am I supposed to understand the definition if the definition is also in English? Isn't that a circular problem?
It's a challenge, for sure, but it is a necessary challenge if you really want to reach fluency. Let's look at the Apple comparison from the sources to see exactly why this is so critical.
Okay, so the old way, the bilingual way. I see a word, I don't know, maybe I read it in a book. Let's use the Portuguese word maçã. I look it up.
And your bilingual dictionary simply says apple.
Okay, so my brain sees maçã, sees apple, and it stays in Portuguese mode. I'm just swapping one label for another. I haven't actually engaged with any English concepts. I've just swapped a tag.
Right. The connection is weak. It's very surface level. Now let's look at the new way. You look up the word apple in an English learner's dictionary.
And it doesn't just say maçã. It says something like a round fruit with red or green skin and a white inside.
Now stop and think about what just happened in your brain. To understand that, you had to process the word round. You had to process fruit, red, green, skin, white, and inside.
Wow. I just practiced 6 or 7 other English words just to learn one new one.
Exactly. That is why this is so incredibly powerful. It forces your brain to stay in English mode. You are not toggling back and forth between 2 different operating systems. You are staying completely immersed in English.
It's true. Contextual learning.
Yes. You're not just learning a word. You're building a web of words. The word apple is now connected to fruit and red and skin in your brain. It's a much stronger, deeper, more resilient memory than the simple equation apple maçã.
It forces you to think in definitions, which, now that I think about it, is how we think in our native language anyway. If I ask you to define a table, you don't translate it to another language. You picture a flat surface with legs. You describe it.
Exactly. You define it by its attributes and its function. The English dictionary trains you to do that exact same process, but in your target language. It forces you to operate entirely within the internal logic of English.
Okay, but I can hear some listeners thinking, but what if I don't understand the words in the definition? What if the definition has a word I don't know?
And that's going to happen, especially at first. But it's not a problem. It's actually an opportunity.
Mhm.
Then you look up that word, and you go down a rabbit hole of English. It might take longer, yes. It's not as fast as a bilingual dictionary. But the depth of learning is 10 times greater.
It's the difference between eating a frozen microwave meal and cooking a meal from scratch with fresh ingredients.
I love your food analogies today. You must be getting hungry.
I think I am. But the analogy works. One is faster, but the other one actually teaches you how to cook. It gives you a real skill.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
So looking at these 5 techniques together, there is such a clear progression. It's like a ladder.
There really is.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do them all at once. You start with the first step. You start with the sticky notes. You master that. Then you try the simple sentences. Then you move on to narrating your day.
And as we start to wrap up this deep dive, the sources have a really important final section on conclusion and mindset, because I think it's so easy for people to try this for 2 days, not see instant results, and then just give up.
Patience is key. That is the final, most important message. The source material really emphasizes that this is not a switch you can just flip. You don't just decide, okay, I'm thinking in English now, and then it magically happens.
You called it a muscle before.
It is a muscle. And just like any muscle in your body, if you don't use it, it's weak. And if you try to lift the weight that's way too heavy on your first day at the gym, like trying to have a complex political debate in English, you will hurt yourself. You will get that mental block.
So the sticky notes are like the 5-pound weights, the little pink dumbbells.
Exactly. You start there, you lift the light weights, you name the fridge, you name the window, you do that every single day, and slowly that muscle gets stronger. Then you can lift the heavier weights, the sentences, the narration.
And eventually you're doing the heavy lifting, the full, spontaneous conversations without even sweating. It just becomes normal.
That is the promise. If you do these small things every day, consistently, you will break the habit. You will build a new highway in your brain. You will escape the translation trap. And speaking fluently without thinking about it, that will become your new normal.
That's a beautiful promise, and it's so encouraging because it's achievable. It's not magic, it's just consistent work.
Small, consistent work. That's all it is.
So we want to put this into practice right this second. We don't want you to just listen to this and then forget about it.
Right. We need to activate that muscle immediately. Do the first rep right now.
So here is our engagement question for you. I want you to literally look away from your screen or your phone, just for a second. Look around the room you are in right now. Find one object.
And don't think of the word for it in your native language. Find the English word directly.
What is one object in your room right now? Tell us in English. If you're on a platform that has comments, write it down below. Lamp, chair, book, my messy bed, whatever it is.
Start your labeling game right now with this one word.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We know learning a language is a long road, but we are right here to walk it with you.
Absolutely. Keep practicing, keep labeling, and definitely keep talking to yourself.
See you in the next flow.